Come on, pal. I don't want to hear your life story. Paw me!
Hey everybody, this is Eric at Monkey Paw Wargaming. Today we're going to finally assemble the 2nd edition Imperial Guard Sentinel. All the parts are here, so let's get started. Okay, we're back. So we got the contents all out of the bag now. Given that this is a used and old, and it's been sitting in my bits box forever, the one thing you want to make sure is you want to test fit the pieces before you assemble it and glue it back together. I use Loctite super glue for gluing metal. There's different brands out there, and your mileage may vary in terms of what type of glue you prefer. Loctite is pretty much, it hasn't let me down, so I generally use Loctite glue. But just make sure that the edges are free of old glue or anything like that if it's a secondhand or used or it's old. So these parts have been cleaned. The interior parts here have been kind of cleaned and filed, and so those are going to fit like that. So let's get started. We'll do the legs, and then we'll glue the two halves together. So let's get started with that. You're going to run the glue bead. Now some people only use just a dot. These pieces are quite heavy, so it's going to require a little bit more than that. So then what you're going to do is you're going to fit this together, just like that. You can press and hold. Now, an interesting thing, I don't know, because it's such a long time ago, this molded piece had pegs coming out the side for the legs to slot in when they come in to create basically it's like a pin. It creates a larger contact point for the metal pieces to fit into. These, if you look real close, I don't know, it's been such a long time, I don't know what I was thinking. It's probably maybe trying to use this for a conversion that didn't work out, and it just ended up back in my bits box again, only to be uncovered like 20 years later. So what we're probably going to have to do is, once I'm done assembling the feet, we're going to have to pin the legs into the main body, because I don't think with the weight of this be hard pressed to get the glue to stick. It probably would hold, but over time and with play, you're probably going to be fixing this thing a ton of times. So let's do the legs, and then we'll come back to this piece while it's setting. Sort of a chicken walker sort of a look to it. So now we're going to use the pin vise. I got a pin vise right here, and we're going to take the pin vise and drill a hole into here, and we're going to put some brass rod into it. And then what that'll do is it'll basically act as the parts that stick out to allow it to go in. So let's try that. I think I just broke my pin vise. Yep.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again.
So what we're going to do is we're going to try to effect a repair to this. I'm going to try to get this to stick together. I think I have another bit, but we'll see. But we're going to get this, we're going to make this work. We're going to get this thing together, and it'll be awesome. and we're back. So, the temporary fix has worked. So as you can see, it's standing on its own. And it's a little wobbly, but I don't think it'll ever get back to completely where it was because those pieces are gone. But, you know, it's stable enough where it'll stand on its own. And once I put it on a base and, you know, gap fill and, you know, the base is going to be about that round. So it's definitely not going to tip or go anywhere. So the last part that I have is the gun. So we'll do that. And then the driver, I still don't have a driver yet. And that is one thing that is eluding me because I specifically want a Catachan one in there because this is going to be a Catachan army. So the Sentinel is complete. I mean, the Sentinel itself is complete. And it's just a matter of me finding a spare driver. I have the upper half of a heavy weapon team, but I miscounted and I need that guy to, you know, build the heavy weapons team for, you know, the actual infantry squad. So I'm looking into possibly casting that piece so then that way I can make as many as I want, or, you know, finding one on eBay. But in the meantime, you know, the Sentinel is complete, and I suppose we could probably find a base for it. So let's affix this. Let's take this all the way to the end as far as a base, and that way we'll close out the video with it completely assembled and on a base. Alright, we're back. So after digging through my bits box, I found, you know, I have several of these Dreadnought bases, and it basically fits perfectly on this. But then I came across this really awesome one that, you know, I think it was at the Necronomicon in Orlando, Florida here, is where I got this. There's some guy who made resin castings of them, and I just thought this was the coolest base ever. Just, you know, I mean, at the time, it was like, wow, this, you know, this was, when I got this was around the time when, like, people were doing a lot of resin, like that, the resin base community was starting to grow. Like, this was very new in its infancy, where, like, people were like, whoa, you can cast your own bases. So this, when I first saw this, I mean, you gotta understand, this is years and years. We're talking like, you know, let's see, it'll be like 15 years ago. So like 15 years ago, when people were just starting to cast bases, like custom bases, and that sort of took off and became its sort of own little third-party businesses. You know, they're all, you know, Dragon Forge. I use Dragon Forge resin bases. Those guys are great. But at the time, this was relatively new, and, you know, so when you never seen anything like this, I was just blown away by it, and it's been sitting in there. So, you know, I don't think I'm going to use it for the Sentinel, but I'll definitely probably use it for one of the Catachan heavy weapons teams, just because it's such a cool piece. You know, you already have the muddy texture into it. You know, there's like some little bits and bobs going on here, and it's like this little underground sort of engine compartment with a little shovel. I don't know. I just think it's a cool little piece. I'll probably use this for one of my heavy weapons teams to kind of, you know, make it look a little bit nicer, detailed. So, but anyway, so enough about that. But so what we're going to do is we're going to take this base and we're going to glue this right to here like that. And it actually, I mean, it's almost like it was meant to fit. I'm just going to turn this a little bit to see if I can get a better fit. Just sort of fits in there better. You know, the goal is to have more contact points. You know, the more contact points you have, the better it's going to stick. So, all right, so I think that way is the best way. So now there's different methods to how people do this. I personally think that you should just glue it on. You know, others will have their own opinions about it, but you know, the ultimate goal is to get it to stick, right? And that's basically what you're intending to do. So as long as it sticks, you can always gap fill underneath, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to texture over this base anyway with mud. and jungle leaves or something like that. So you're not like, whatever's on the bottom anyway, you're not really going to see because it's going to be mostly covered up. So yeah, so this is just going to get glued in here like that. Just load it up on that end there because that's where the biggest contact point is. Now I'm going to probably catch some heat from the YouTube community here and do a cardinal sin. This is Instaset. It's Accelerator. Now, generally what you want to do is when you want to glue something, you want to just sort of let it glue on its own. You definitely don't want to use Accelerator if you have to. Like, normally this is for like emergency fixes, but I'm going to use it here just for the sake of speed. And then, like I said, I'm going to gap fill this stuff in later with green stuff. I'm going to mold some parts in the bottom here so it looks like its feet are kind of sunken in the mud a little bit. So all that stuff, once that epoxy dries, it's going to grab on there pretty good and it's not going to really go anywhere. So, but for the purposes of this video, to get you to see how it is assembled and to get it to sort of stay, I'll just use a little bit of Accelerator for the super glue, and then voila, there it is, completed Sentinel. So I think that's going to wrap up the video. If you guys have any questions or comments, you can always leave them down below, and as always, like and subscribe if you like the content. This thing is going to probably, tomorrow is going to get a coat of Chaos Black primer. So if you follow me on my Instagram page at Monkey Paw Wargaming, I'll probably post a picture sometime tomorrow, weather permitting, of course, because I think we're supposed to get some rain tomorrow here. So hopefully I'll be able to get that primed before that happens. And then I'll post a video up there of it primed so you can kind of see it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start painting this bad boy. Like I said, I can paint this model as it is now, and then always drop in the crew guy later, and because I would paint them separately anyways. So that's what we're going to do. So we'll talk to you guys soon, and have fun wargaming. Peace out.